What's up, everyone? This is Gene Shaw from Gargoyle Design Studios. Listen, if you're anything like me, you're a huge fan of Film Riot. I'm actually a night owl, and most of the time I'm awake between late night on Wednesday and early morning on Thursday when the new Film Riot is posted. Last few episodes have been cut short, which is, it's alright. I understand that, Triune Films, I hope, is going really well, and I hope they're getting a lot of work because they really do deserve it. They put on an excellent show, and I always learn a lot of new stuff. So with that in mind, if you've seen this week's episode, and it's 3 in the morning Pacific time, and I've already seen it and gone through it, this one was cut a little bit short, and they actually showed a couple of things that went wrong, which is cool because on a real shoot, things go wrong all the time. So I just want to take about 5 minutes here to show you how you can save an overexposed clip when you're up against a deadline and you really have no time to reshoot. Now, in the case of what we're looking at here, this is actually the clip in question that they shot, but as you can see, it's way overexposed. The whites of the outside blend straight in with Josh's face here and Ryan's arms. So if you were just to go in here and try a normal key with key light just straight in After Effects, you can see real quick that it's going to turn into a nightmare. There's no way you're going to get a good key out of that. So in about 5 minutes, maybe a little longer, you can actually still salvage this. It's not going to be perfect, but if you're shooting in high def and you have a little bit of time, I think that we can turn this into something that we can still use. And that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our clip, pull it into a new comp. Now in this case, I pulled everything off of Camtasia Studio, so you're going to notice it's not going to fit in real well, and there's going to be a black dot right here where I just kind of left my mouse and walked away from the screen for a little bit. Let's pull this up. Film Riot shoots in high def, so the actual footage, they wouldn't have to worry about this black dot here, and everything would be actually a little bit easier to key. So I'm only going to do this one short little clip just to show you how it's done. Trim comp to work area, and then we're going to go ahead and hit Edit, Duplicate, and then we're going to Control Shift C to bring up a new composition, and this one we're going to call Luma Key. Most of you are probably already familiar with this, but I'm just going to show you a quick way to save this footage. Like I said, when you're up against a deadline and you don't have time to reshoot all of everything that they did, this can be just something that will save you a little bit of time. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into Color Correction, Levels, and the goal here is just to crush the color as much as I possibly can and differentiate it from the background. Let's see, we're going to say somewhere right about there. Alright, from there we're going to go back into color correction, and this time we're just going to drop a tint on that, turn everything black and white, which is kind of funny because the very next thing I'm going to do is to jump into my favorite effect, which is Colorama. Now, Colorama, as you can see, is going to turn everything wild colors. We're going to go into the output cycle and just get rid of some of these colors that we don't need. Now, you can tell that the inside of the car mostly is red, so we're going to keep the red. We're going to get rid of this yellow here. We're going to get rid of the green, get rid of the light blue, and the outside and background color is mostly blue, so we'll just lose that purple. Now we have a pretty good difference between the outside of the car and the inside of the car. I'm going to take this blue, turn it to white, and I'm going to take this red and make it black. The great thing that Film Riot did is they shot everything obviously on a tripod, and there's very little movement here, so this technique actually will work quite well. On a lot of shoots you may not be able to do this and you may have to reshoot, but in this case I think we're going to be okay because there's very little movement. As you can see, really all we have is Ryan's head moving a little bit, A little bit of hand movement in here, which we're going to minimize. I'm not going to take 12 hours to rotoscope that out. And Josh pretty much doesn't move at all in this clip. Okay, from Colorama, I'm going to jump into a little bit of a fast blur. I just want to make these edges a little softer. So I'm going to go Effect, Blur, Fast Blur, and I'm only going to boost this up a little, maybe, there you go, maybe 3. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so a lot of you aren't even going to see what that's actually doing. From here, we're going to create a new layer, a new solid, and we want this to be a black solid. Comp size, okay. We're going to pull that below our footage. So we want to get rid of Josh, and we want to get rid of Ryan's arm, and get rid of all this nonsense up here. So here's what we're going to do. Back into our main clip. We're going to grab the pen tool, and I'm just going to cut around here. I'm going to stay kind of tight. Like I said, this hand's going to be a little bit of a problem, but I'll show you how we're going to get around that later as well. And presto. Now we have something that we can actually work with and key out a little bit. Alright, so we're going to take this back into our main comp. Go back into... get rid of this stuff. So here's our main comp. Now we're going to set the track matte to LumaMatte inverted. And as you can see, we got a pretty good key. Not a whole lot going on here, but we'll know for real how well we did once we add our footage. And this is just some footage that I shot a little while ago. You see we've got a little bit of haloing around the edges. So to take care of that, we're going to go back into our Luma key, Comp, and I'm going to add a glow. We're going to go down to Stylize. This is from the Effect menu, or you can just right-click Stylize, and then Glow. There we go. Now that's going to get rid of some of the edges in the other main comp. So we're going to go to Glow, and we're going to pull this threshold down a little bit. I'm going to say somewhere right in here. About 14. Let's take a look at that. Alright, we got rid of a bunch of that haloing. Snow driving footage, we'll jump in here real quick just to show you. All I did was I added a little bit of a curves adjustment and a fast blur. The curves was just to correct the color and make it reflect what we had going on here in the main comp a little better. And then from here, you just take your your favorite color correction, and we're basically done. We've got a decent key, enough to keep working at any rate, and that's all it is. From here, if you wanted to move further, you could just jump into your favorite. I'm going to go real quick into Film Magic Pro from Video Copilot. Let's see here. How about let's see here. How about Enhance Warm? Give me a new layer, new adjustment layer. Enhance Warm. That looks alright. Of course, we can undo that. Try Enhance Cool. I know the boys like the whole steely Detroit look. I'm going to stick with the warm. Alright, so if you're still bothered by this over here, another thing we can do is I'm just going to go into new layer. I'm going to make a new adjustment layer and call this the Spot Focus. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Effects, Blur and Sharpen, and I'm just going to do a fast blur over the whole thing, somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, say 3. Well, maybe a little more than that, maybe an 8. And then I'm going to go to the Eclipse tool. Just kind of find everything that's going to be on the same plane. Subtract that mask. Feather it out. I find also it's a little easier to shut the mask off. You're trying to find where the edges are. But if we blur that out a little bit, we got a nice shallow depth of field. And again, this clip is only, is that 2-3 seconds? So most people are not going to notice that this right here is static, never changing. So there it is. That's a quick little 10-minute tip on how to save an overexposed clip when you're up against a deadline and have no time to reshoot. Again, my name is Gene Shaw from Gargoyle Design Studios, and special thanks again to Ryan and Josh and the gang for all the great work that they do at Film Riot.